Adrian, we're streaming now, so we're live.
Okay, thank you. Thank you. And good evening,
No,
everyone.
I'll let you know. Just hold on.
Oh, mine says its meeting is now streaming live on YouTube.
Mine
Okay.
does
I
too.
does as well.
Go ahead. Sorry.
Good evening, everyone, and welcome to our first virtual council meeting. We will be delaying our meeting for about 15 minutes. Mayor Rob was unable to join us at this time due to technical difficulties. So please bear with us and we'll hope to get this going in 15 or 20 minutes. Thank you.
Did you pause the feed, Mike?
Pardon me, John.
Did you pause the feed by chance?
I think you either end it and start it again, or
Okay. We'll keep it live until we hear otherwise.
if someone's playing the YouTube, you gotta turn it off, the sound.
Say that again, Mike.
If someone's got the YouTube streaming in the background, turn the sound off because we're getting loops.
Yeah.
Mike Jones trying to join right now.
He's mute.
Mike Jones trying to join right now. Yeah, Mike's on it. Okay, you might just have to sit for, oh, there you are. Okay. All right. No. Sorry about that, Joan.
You might just need to do your audio controls, Brian, like you have in the past. Once you get in, have to say use your computer or whatever for audio, and then you'll be all set.
I gotcha. Well, oh, I got this. I got Brian anyways.
There we go. All right, I'm gonna
Okay,
have,
thanks, bye.
I think I'm finally in, aren't I?
You good, Brian?
Yeah, I think so, Chris.
All right, I'll leave you to it.
Thanks.
Bye.
Okay, before we
Can
start,
you guys hear
I
me
just
now?
want to, before Brian gets into it, if you have YouTube running in the background, turn it off. It sounds looping from somebody.
It might have been me, Mike. I was on the phone with Chris for a while. So can you hear me now, Mike, or is my audio not working?
It's
It's
working. Yeah.
Okay. Okay.
is the
Restart.
loop on, Mike? We're good. Okay, we're good to go.
Good start, huh?
It's a start.
It's a start. So are we ready to get, is everybody else ready? All right, we'll call the meeting to order at 6:14. All right. Roll call. Looks like we have everyone.
We're all here.
So just before we start, I want to just say a few words, a preamble, and welcome to council, staff, and the public for the first ever virtual council meeting in North Middlesex due to the COVID-19 pandemic. North Middlesex is joining with other Ontario municipalities with putting into place a procedure that will abide with the social distancing requirements for our residents, council, and staff. However, recognize the need for us to continue our operations of the municipality as open and transparent as we can in these times. On behalf of council and staff, I would like to take a moment just to thank our local businesses for staying open and working so hard. And I know they're putting in a lot of hours. You can see it on them. Also, our first responders, our own firemen, plus all the responders out there. Our frontline health workers, of course, we all either have family members or maybe we're a healthcare worker or we have friends that are. So it's very important that we do our part to help keep them safe. And at this time, I also want to thank all of our residents and everyone for doing their part. And I know it's going to be tough this weekend. It's Easter weekend. It'll be different, but now's not the time to let up. These next 2 weeks are going to be crucial in helping to defeat the pandemic. So this is the first time we've attempted a live virtual meeting. I would like to reaffirm that if council or staff experience or notice any technical difficulties during this meeting, the extent of disruption will be reviewed. A decision will be made whether the meeting should be canceled. So we have a resolution in front of us. I'm sorry, I'm just trying to get my agenda up. There we go. We have a resolution in front of us, and I need a mover and a seconder for that resolution. Deputy Mayor, Councillor McClinchy, all in favor?
thank you to your mayor and members of council. The resolution in its entirety is available on the municipal website for full disclosure to the members of public. I'm going to condense somewhat the version of the motion for timing for this evening, but again, the full motion is available on our website. The point of this resolution is to be able to bring a meeting like the virtual meeting we're having before us due to legislation that was put into place as an emergency protocol due to the COVID-19. The resolution cites the Municipal Act, which establishes a procedure for meetings and what includes a meeting, which is a regular, special, or other meeting. The municipality also has enacted rules of procedure, which is under Bylaw 7 of 2018. The World Health Organization declared a worldwide pandemic regarding the COVID-19. On March 17th, a declaration was made by the province of Ontario under the Emergency Management and Civil Protection Act. On March 17th, at 11:20 a.m., a declaration was made by the County of Middlesex under this act, in which North Middlesex has its municipal offices. On March 17th at 3:10 p.m., a declaration was made by the municipality of North Middlesex. The Lieutenant Governor issued order in council prohibiting all organized public events of over 50, which has since moved to 5 or less. Under the Emergency Protection Act, in the event of any conflict between the order in council and any statute, regulation, rule, bylaw, under any other order or instrument, the order in council prevails. In the event the municipality was to hold a public meeting in relation to the COVID-19, its councillors and the staff and public and media that attended physically would be at risk of breaching that order. The Council of North Middlesex considers the protection of health and safety of the public to be of paramount concern during COVID, but values the business continuity for its citizens. The municipality of North Middlesex commenced Friday, March 20th, has effectively used work from home and social distancing initiatives to productively and effectively continue its operations and services. The municipality also deems it desirable to continue to further its business continuity for the good of its citizens during COVID by holding meetings electronically. The Council of North Middlesex believes it to be inappropriate to require public to physically attend a meeting at the shared services meeting, while councillors have the ability through legislation for their respective votes to be counted as quorum when participating electronically. Therefore, during the COVID, North Middlesex is able to hold meetings, keeping in mind our rules of procedure bylaw, without being physically in attendance. We will ensure agenda material is publicly posted on the website in its usual manner. We will post the minutes in an expeditious manner. We will ensure meetings are open and transparent. Therefore, by enacting this resolution, the Council of North Middlesex hereby enacts amendments to the rules of procedure as attached in Appendix 1 and 2 of Bylaw 33 of 2020. Therefore, the council does hereby approve the emergency electronic meeting protocol as attached as Appendix 2, and that it apply that to any electronic meeting, and that any notice requirement under rules of procedure be hereby waived for the purpose of this resolution based on the COVID-19 and related social distancing and self-isolation. Therefore, we are looking for council's consideration of passage of this motion.
Okay, so I'll just mention to council, if you want to ask a question, just raise your hand and then we'll go that route. So is there any questions on this resolution? from council? Any questions at all? We have a mover and a seconder. All in favor? Carried, it's unanimous. Thank you. So we just have a pause here till our clerk is ready with our bylaws. And we'll just wait to hear from Jackie when she's ready.
So your worship, we can proceed with getting a mover and seconder for the first and second readings of bylaw 33 of 2020, which is going to amend your procedural bylaw to allow for electronic meetings during emergency times.
We need a mover. Councillor Hemming, Councillor Moyer, all in favor? Carried.
Third and final reading.
Third and final. Councillor Keogh, Councillor Nickel, all in favor? Carried. Thank you. Okay, so we are now a special meeting. Now we're going to our minutes for March 11th, special budget meeting, and the March 16th regular meeting minutes. Any questions on those minutes? Any business arising? Hearing none, we need a mover. Councillor Moyer. Councillor Keogh, all in favor? Carried. So departmental reports. Our first one is a report from CAO Director of Operations, Jonathan Graham, provincial legislative updates and responses for COVID-19. Jonathan?
Through your worship, members of council, there's a lot of information within this report, but I would like to highlight a couple of the key areas. The recommendation before you is that council, that the COVID-19 legislative update response report be received and filed as information. As you can imagine, through the last 2-3 weeks, month or so, there's been a lot of moving targets in terms of the province's state of emergency order, our state of emergency order, and the county state of emergency order. So I'm hoping that you're familiar with some of the preemptive legislation that came down through these orders. But effective as of April 13th, 2020, most of these orders are postponed or extended until that lapsing date next week. Various components of these orders have even been extended further into May. But of major implications over the last week, we've had a reduction in size of allowing people to gather in groups of 20, and now it is 5, excluding certain provisions within residential households and funerals and bereavements of 10 or less. Out of the most interesting one that we have in front of us is effective March 27th, 2020. The province has enacted that bylaw officers may enforce legislative fines from the OPP or the police force through the groups and through business as usual. And of note, when the timing of writing this report and submitting it online, there has been an update to the essential list where we've gone down from about 75 previously about 2 weeks ago. And as of last Friday, we're about to 44 essential businesses as identified. Various components of these orders and legislation affect the municipality, so I would open it up to the group if there's any questions on determining how this affects the municipality.
Any questions from council? Councillor Moyer.
Hang on, Gordon, you'll have to unmute.
There you go. Okay.
Go ahead, Gordon.
Yeah, you'd mentioned the other night, but building permits for agricultural buildings, are they allowed, or do you know anything on that yet?
So I'm still vetting the process right now. There is an illegal opinion that we've had that's been offered from county legal that suggests that the exclusion of building permits being of the 3 scenarios with residential and anything associated with healthcare are allowed to proceed. But there's a working group of Southwestern Ontario chief building officials that has given an opinion that if it's related to supply chain management, that a building permit could be issued. I would have to hazard to come back to council on that at this moment, as we're still getting more opinions as to come in. But we are encouraging anybody who's seeking a building permit to speak to the building official and myself, and that we be able to determine with their assistance if it's considered essential. We've also put in play a draft waiver that we're trying to help alleviate liability on who owns clustering of construction purposes for the purpose of allowing a permit to be executed. So if you have a construction crew and you have more than 20 guys, you have to make sure that they're all doing social distancing, increase sanitation, increase porta potties, masks, so on and so forth. So we're trying to bring them to that attention as well. So we are trying to, and as I revisited previously, we want to work with the community to make sure that they have an avenue to go ahead with, but we want to honor the orders and the legislation ahead. So more is to come, and I will provide that to council when I get that information.
Thank you.
Other questions? Deputy Mayor?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Jonathan, well, what's the status of any planning applications right now? Do you know?
That we've, again, going back to legal opinions from the county, there are components that would otherwise suggest that we need to have public participation. There are some that are in the queue that we feel that have been satisfied, i.e. the Westwood zoning provision held to the lands on the plan of subdivision. It has already been tabled once, so we feel like that has been satisfied, but in terms of new planning applications, right now they're on hold.
Thank you.
Other questions? No other questions? Jonathan, can you touch on what measures you've taken and we've taken to keep informed?
So-
in talking with each other, like the different meetings, if you go through that?
There's quite a few different meetings at the local level, and there's quite a few meetings at the county level, including some information coming from the province. So county CAOs meet almost weekly, if not more. Senior staff is meeting weekly as well. I know that there's a local engineers group that's also meeting. Mike, chime in here if there's a section under economic development. I know there's a task force coming down from the county as well. So this is definitely one of those situations where we're putting up our socks and trying to speak to each other, share information as we're moving ahead. And I think the important thing to note, and I think that Brian would want me to highlight, is that our general stance in relation to the COVID-19 approach is shared amongst the lower tier municipalities in Middlesex. We're taking a very similar approach to all our neighbors, and that makes it easier for our residents to understand what we're doing.
Yeah, I would just add to those meetings, Jonathan, that the emergency management team is meeting on once a week as well by Zoom meetings, and that you're updating council on Fridays of every week too, so that we are communicating.
Yeah, so we're trying to get, and again, for the general public, we'd encourage you to reach out to staff. People are working from home at the best of our abilities. And as much as we can say, someone coined a good phrase today, it's not business as usual, it's business as necessary. So we want to be there for our ratepayers to make sure that they have an avenue with us. So we'd constantly encourage them to reach out.
Okay, one final question I would have for you, Jonathan. Is the province looking at a ways for us to be able to do planning and for doing public meetings in this system?
They are. There's currently the Ministry of Housing and Rural Affairs is also coming into that conversation, from what I understand. And there should be an opinion coming in the next couple of weeks if this is a prolonged state of emergency. And that's really the question: is how long does this last? And if it lasts, how does business operate in that envelope? If we lift out of the public component of having people gather together for our purposes in the next couple of weeks, we may never get an opinion. But if it lasts a month, I would imagine we would.
Thank you, Jonathan. Any other questions from council? No other questions. We do have a recommendation in front of us. Need a move? Councillor Nickel, seconded by Deputy Mayor. All in favor? Carried. Thank you. Our next report is from our treasurer, Tracy Johnson, and that is financial relief measures from the COVID-19.
Thank you.
Tracy?
This report is recommending a temporary amendment to bylaws 64-2017 and 46-2019. A suggested temporary amendment will waive penalty and interest on taxes, late payments on water and sewer, and any NSF charges on return payments. The report is also recommending that if requested, the CAO and treasurer in consultation with the mayor may defer rent on a municipal facility. And these recommendations will be in effect until 45 days after North Middlesex lifts the declared state of emergency. The recommendations staff are presenting are in line with the actions of our neighboring municipalities as well as the upper levels of government. The federal government is working to assist Canadians, but many of our residents and local businesses may see significant financial pressure before the assistance programs will be available. So staff are recommending these temporary financial relief measures. Recently, the province of Ontario, in order to support and encourage municipal tax relief, announced a 90-day deferral of the property tax payments for the education of the property taxes collected. March 31st payment was due on its due date, but the June one will now be due in September, and September's will now be due in December. The province has also postponed the planned 2021 tax reassessment on property. So municipalities will be working with the 2020 assessments when we start our 2021 budget. In addition, the province has moved the deadline for property owners to submit requests for reconsideration, and that March 31st deadline has been lifted until the provincial state of emergency has been lifted. We have not heard anything from the county yet as to whether they will be deferring their payment that will be due on June 30th for their portion of property taxes collected. Are there any questions?
Questions from council? Any questions? No questions? Tracy, I would just mention that the county is talking about that, about the deferral or delay on that. They don't have an answer on it yet, right, Adrian? We
No.
had that conversation yesterday,
Yes.
but no decision. Any other questions from council?
No.
No other questions? We need a motion to approve that. Councillor Hemming, Councillor McClinchy, all in favor? Carried. Thanks, Tracy. Tracy, you're up again, and that's for financial relief for community service groups for the COVID-19.
Thank you, Your Worship. This report is recommending financial assistance to 2 local community groups from the Community Vibrancy Fund. Staff is recommending this assistance to help relieve financial pressures, the Elsa Craig Food Bank and the VON, which operates the Meals on Wheels program, as they may see an increase in their need for services during the COVID-19 pandemic. The recommendation in front of council is a grant of $5,000 to each group through the Community Vibrancy Fund. Is there any questions on this?
Questions? Yeah, Councillor McClinchy.
You said each group. Are you talking about the food bank as well as VON? Or-
Yes, 5,000 to both. Yes.
So that's 10,000 total?
Yes. Yes.
Okay, thank you.
Tracy, one question I would have, I guess, is this is a one-time donation. If we were going to donate in future, it would come back to council again. Is that right?
Yes, the one time would be the disaster relief portion of the vibrancy fund we use. We can come back again with the tax stabilization portion of the vibrancy fund if we feel that they're going to need more in the future.
Okay. All right. Just wanted to clarify that. I also, at this time, I'd like to thank Mike for doing a lot of legwork on this as well, talking with the VON and the food bank to get to this point. Any other questions from council? Deputy Mayor Purnell.
I have a question for Mike. Mike, did you have any success in contacting our neighboring municipalities in regards to their supporting our food bank?
Yes, through your worship, Adrian. The social media advert, the other municipalities did share it, and it was a quite successful share. And I will note one result that I did see is that the Poplar Hill Coldstream Lions were donating $5,000 to the food bank as a result. So hopefully others are responding. but it was a very widely shared post. So the word is out there, and we will continue that.
Excellent. Thank you, Mike.
Any other questions? We have a motion in front of us. Recommendation? Counselor Nickel? Deputy Mayor Cornelison? All in favor? Carried. Next one's payment of accounts, or Tracy, that's yours again.
Yeah, thank you, Your Worship. We are recommending the bills and accounts amounting to $470,124.31 be approved for payment. Is there any questions on the AP report?
Questions from council? Okay, I would have on the carrier center for that international truck, is that the final price, that 272,000, or does that have to have the plow and everything mounted to it yet?
I believe that has that, through your worship, the plow has to be mounted to it.
Okay, that's just the truck?
Yeah, that's the truck.
Okay, thank you. Any other questions?
No.
Councilor Teal?
I think previously in a council meeting, we discussed 274,000 as a driveway price. That was plow and everything on it, was it not?
I'll have to confirm, but I believe, I thought the question was, has it been mounted yet? And it hasn't been mounted. So I will confirm the price, but I think that's the listed price with everything here. Again, I'll have to confirm. There was a problem with one delay, or with a component being shipped. So I'll have to follow up with Brad, but I'll send an email to that effect tomorrow.
Chris, did you want that?
Also, Councilor Keel, the price you're seeing would also include the HST, which we will get a portion of that back. So that will not be the full expense that goes to the GL.
Right. Okay. Thank you.
Any other questions on the accounts? Need a motion? Councilor McClinchy? Councilor Moyer? All in favor? Carried. Sorry, my other iPad isn't working any better than this one. Okay, other and urgent business. Verbal update from Jonathan Graham on the subdivision.
Through your worship, members of council, in fashion that we've done previously with agreements that we entered into on behalf of the municipality, I'm going to give you a verbal update on the execution of the first phase of Westwood Estates plan of subdivision in Park Hill. So the engineering design has been complete. The subdivision agreement is of relevance towards us and the applicant as well. So we're both agreeing to this subdivision agreement that's presented. And this is inclusive of phase 1 only. Phase 2 and 3 engineering design and subdivision agreement will follow. This is a big moment for staff, a lot of effort from the council and our municipality as a whole to get to this point. I wish we could have done this one in person, but I'll still take it. So the motion, there is no motion, and this will be carried through a bylaw. Are there any questions pertaining to the plan of subdivision?
Any questions on this? No questions? Deputy Mayor.
I do have one just at the last moment. Jonathan, my understanding is that the province has ruled or legislated that no new construction can begin at this time.
That is correct.
So this will be a system that will be in hold until that's lifted?
Yes, but Jonathan Lampman has been in regular communication with the applicant in terms of being able to assess the market value of moving ahead. There is some background paperwork that needs to be done, some financing from the applicant to us in terms of securities, bonds. So there's some paperwork that we need to do and manage. Probably will take a number of weeks to have that all done and buttoned up. That this will also allow the applicant to start delivering materials. It will not include construction yet. We will assess that if it's relative in the future, but it would allow him to start mobilizing to a certain extent.
Thank you.
John, do you have anything to add?
No, nothing to add. Councilor Moyer, and then Councilor McClinchy.
For that subdivision, sewers, that can go ahead, can it not?
Technically, it can't. But again, we want to work with the applicant. Delivery could still happen, social distancing being what it is. It really depends on how you deem that essential list, because the sewers going in are directly related to the residents that would be there and the households that would be in place. Hopefully, we're not talking about that timeline, but staff and the applicant are hopeful that we'll be in a position in the number of weeks where the state of emergency will be lifted and we'll be able to get to business as usual. Barring that, we want to be prepared to actually be off to the races. We don't want to delay these type of initiatives. We want to be able to move ahead so that when we can get back to business, we can do it rather quickly.
Thank you.
Councillor McClinchy?
Jonathan, when you talk about materials being delivered, what types of materials are you talking about?
It would most likely be pipe. So sewer pipes, manholes, some equipment could be mobilized and placed on site. It could sit there for a period of time, but we'd have to be discussed with the applicant. We don't really want to see it out there too long because it becomes a danger for the general public to start, climbing around it or taking advantage of it that way. So that's why Jonathan Lampman has been in regular communication with the applicant to figure out his timeline so that we can match it appropriately.
Okay, so basically the materials will go underground is what you're talking about.
Yes, they would be stockpiling those. And just of a note, the applicant has ordered all these materials, and they're sitting and waiting to be delivered essentially.
Okay. I was just thinking about, well, that kind of stuff is quite heavy. It's nothing that could be, somebody would take advantage of stealing things. It wouldn't be anything like that.
You need a pretty big operation to steal something like that, but I've seen stuff like that happen before. So.
Yes.
And it is up to the developer to secure his stuff.
Okay. Thank you.
Any other questions? And we're going to look after that in bylaw, correct?
That is correct.
Okay. Any other business?
Mayor Ropp, we were
Yes.
wanting on the agenda to discuss a potential next meeting date for council.
Okay. All right. So we were thinking right now, we were talking about one early in May.
May 6th is a target date we could use.
How does everybody feel about that?
Hang on.
It's already
that's fine.
been established on our regular meeting schedule.
Right, that would be a regular Wednesday. That would be a regular Wednesday.
Yeah.
Meeting. That work for everyone?
Yes.
Next,
Will that be
Yeah.
at 6 o'clock or 7 o'clock?
which is 6 o'clock work for everyone?
Yeah.
Me, yeah.
Okay, I think it'd be nice if we could have it at 6 o'clock, unless we get feedback from public, from residents or something that it's tough for them to see it at this time. But right now, let's schedule it for 6 o'clock and see if we don't hear anything negative on that from the resident side, we can do that. All right? Any other business?
No.
No? One thing I do want to pass on, and that is to all of our staff. The staff that are here on the video, and also all of our staff that are at home tonight and working at home, and our works department guys that are out there working, our facilities employees. I want to thank them all for carrying on and doing what they do. And we want to show our support to them, and as well as everyone else in the community. But I do want to thank our staff at this time. We haven't had the chance to talk to all of our staff. They're doing a really good job. So if there's no other business, we'll move to bylaws.
So bylaw 34 is regarding the execution of the subdivision agreement as noted by the CAO. And bylaw 35 is your confirming bylaw. We're looking for a mover and a seconder for first and second reading.
Councillor McClinchy and Councillor Nickel, all in favor? Carried.
And mover and seconder for third and final.
Councillor Hemming, Councillor Keel, all in favor? Opposed? Carried. So with nothing else, we are looking for adjournment. Someone to move adjourn, Counselor McClinchy, Counselor Keo, all in favor? Carried. We are adjourned.
Safe
Thanks,
drive
Brett.
home, everybody.
Thank you.
Thank you. Have a good evening.